10 seconds.
Welcome to Clever Title Pending, a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We talk to creatives about creativity and the business behind them. So type in your questions and become part of the conversation. And now, here's your host, Brian K. Morris.
Almost caught me there. Almost caught me. Anyway, folks, welcome to the Tuesday, July 20th, 2021 edition of Clever Title Pending, where we talk, like Amy Hale just said, we talk to creative people about creativity and the business behind it. And tonight we've got one of my favorite people on tonight, John B. Pyka. But first, before we bring out that fine, super fine guy, we're going to do some business here. First of all, thank you for being here. Thank you very much to Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. Are you looking for something to turn a casual onlooker into a customer? Well, then you need to contact Jeffrey Hayes. He did my latest book here for Ben Books, Snow Ambition, one of the Snow Short series from Ben Books, BobbyNash.com. Also on Amazon for 99 cents. Well, anyway, he did that cover, and all those books you saw in that trailer, he did those, and the trailer itself. So if you're looking for a great book trailer, a great wraparound cover for your book, and some graphics to help you sell that book, then you need to get a hold of Jeffrey Hayes. Check out Plasma Fire Graphics on Facebook. Also, check him out on the interwebs at plasmafiregraphics.com when the look of your book matters to you. Also, something that matters to us are our Patreon friends. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can directly support your favorite creators. And look at these wonderful people. They all have their own. And in fact, our guest is on there. Thank you, John. And look for him under Impossibilists. And I am a supporter of his. And anyway, it doesn't cost a lot to get your name mentioned on this show, on this little card here, or to read my weekly blog. Every blog deserves a name. Check out my works in progress, all kinds of cool stuff on there. So if you want to see what we have to offer, check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And we have a brand new Dan Holofield generated schedule for the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Please take a screenshot of this because we've got all kinds of coolness on here. And tomorrow morning we will have Never Mind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. Eastern. And tomorrow night will be the brand new show from Ted Davies and Glenn B. Fleming, the Truth Mongers. You want to check that show out. Tomorrow night they're going to talk about the Hollow Moon. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, that show. So anyway, please check out the shows on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network because we've got your entertainment and information covered 7 days a week. So please check us out, and please check out our page on Facebook. In fact, if you're liking this video right now, any part of it, all right, give us a like on Facebook if you would. Also like the page you're watching it on as a thank you to them. And please, if you're watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up because it helps us a whole lot. And please consider subscribing. You can opt out later. We hope you don't, because we got a lot of great stuff planned for you, and more stuff on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. And something else we're having here at the Rising Tide Broadcast Network is somebody. In fact, we think of him as Big Daddy Cool around here. He is the one, the only, Mr. John B. Pyka. John, how are you tonight, my friend?
Hey there, friends and foes. I am doing great, and great to be here. I'm happy to be on Clever Title Pending. It's been a long time coming, and finally, Big Daddy Cool has come to Clever Title Pending. Can you dig that?
I
knew
can
that
dig
you
it all
could.
the way straight to the center of the earth. I can. Anyway, it is long overdue, John. It is, but we're going to make up for it tonight. And don't think you're getting out of it anymore from this point on. Actually, it's all my fault. But anyway, it happens, right? So, John, what we do with everyone here is we are going to give you the spotlight, and we are going to give you some time here to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you're so freaking awesome. And you are.
Well, my name is John Pyka. I am the prophet of pop culture, but you can call me Johnny. I'm an author, artist, podcaster, host of the Back of the Cereal Box podcast and the Diesel Punk podcast, cosplayer. I cosplay as my original character, the Shaman, and also as a gender bent Harley Quinn that Brian is absolutely in love with. And I'm
It's
a singer,
true.
actor, and magician. And you can find me at the website that's right there at johnpyka.com. See how that works?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Coolness. Yeah, and definitely check out that website because John's got a lot of different channels on YouTube, for instance, a lot of pages on Facebook, all with their own identity, and you're going to be amazed. I am constantly amazed at all this guy gets up to, that he does it all, and he does it so very well, which is annoying to us mere mortals. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't have a social life, and I don't sleep.
Well, then why am I not a superstar, dude? Because that's me all over.
Well,
but anyway,
because you have a wife that won't take her hands off you. That's why.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, she's not here right now, so I'm yours, all yours, Harley. Anyway, sorry, I was projecting. No, seriously. You do so very much. Tell us about your. We'll get to everybody's comments soon enough. We'll say some names as the evening unfolds, and we'll be glad to put up some of your questions and comments on the screen. But right now, John, how did tell us about your creative journey? What got you started down this path to where you are now? Because John, like if you were just listening, John's got a lot of irons in the fire, and you're building your own broadcast network very wonderfully. Got a great staff of people helping you on that, and plus you're an author, cosplayer, and ghost tours. You do ghost tours. Just like a whole lot of creative stuff. So what got you started? And go ahead and take the time, tell us about your journey here, and we'll flash some names on the screen while you're doing it. Okay.
1977.
Okay.
I was 7 years old. I'm in the movie theater on a Friday night. Darth Vader steps through that doorway on the Rebel frigate, and I point at the screen and say, I want to do that. And I didn't know what that was, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so that kind of started me down that road. I started doing, I was inspired by the Little Rascals to do shows in my backyard, music and acting and charging people 5 cents a ticket. And when I was 8 years old, about a year after I saw Star Wars, I was at a mall in Fort Wayne, Indiana, with my dad on a business trip, and I saw a guy doing magic and making birds and doves appear, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to learn how to do that." So, Brian, you will remember this on on the back of comic books, or like the inside of the back cover, there were these ads featuring Captain O flying out of the page, win prizes and cash.
Yes.
Did you ever send away for those?
No, I never did. By that time I was legally an adult. Okay. Maybe not mentally, but I did send off for Sea Monkeys.
Okay.
That'll break your heart. And I also sent off for those little, they claimed that they were like a fort, and you put them over like a card table, this little plastic sheet that you put over a card table, and it had painted on it like logs and a little flap that was your window when defending the fort against invaders and such.
All right.
So yeah, I fell for that crap, and I did have a friend who had X-ray specs. Those were also a great disappointment to me.
Well, so there was this ad for Captain O earn prizes in cash, and one of the prizes was a magic kit, and it said you had to sell 9 boxes. 9 boxes. 9 boxes of what? So I called the toll-free number, and I ordered the kit, and they sent me a case of greeting cards, Olympic greeting cards.
Okay, I did do that. Yeah,
they sent me a case of 11, and to get that magic kit, I had to sell 9, and I sold all 11, and so I got the magic kit, and I got $3 in cash, and so which at 8 years old, $3 is a lot of money. So I got this magic kit. It was the Presto Magic Kit, published by Marshall Brodeen. And
yes, I remember Marshall Brodeen.
And so I started learning those tricks and putting that into my backyard or garage shows for a nickel a piece. And that kind of started me down that path of entertaining and doing live entertainment. But along with that, I was addicted to comic books, and I learned how to draw, basically copying the covers and the interiors from an issue of World's Finest, which Batman and Superman, and then I would learn how to draw the cartoon characters on TV, and these paths went simultaneously. And I wrote my own comics. I was writing my own stories, and this was kind of my path until I got to high school. And all along this way, a lot of people will relate to this. I wasn't cool. I wasn't popular. I was mostly made fun of, picked on, mostly for my weight. I've always struggled with my weight since I was a kid. But there was this teacher in high school, John Hayward, choir and theater, and he saw potential. He saw talent in me. And instead of being, the weirdo that talks to himself at lunch, he figured out a way to harness that and put me on stage and give me solos. And I became kind of a big deal in high school, in theater and choir, and still working on artwork. But my senior year, I won an Ohio Players Guild Award for Best Supporting Actor in a Musical for my portrayal of Mr. Bumble in Oliver.
Nice.
And I had already had a scholarship to go to the Pittsburgh Art Institute, but art had become kind of a chore. I didn't enjoy creating art for other people. And so I decided to pivot, because that was going to be my career. I was going to be a comic book artist, and write comic stories. As a matter of fact, Brian, you will appreciate this. And nobody else out there will probably understand what I'm talking about. But when I was in 7th grade, yes, I wrote a story that all of the major superheroes in the Marvel Universe, the Avengers, Fantastic Four, the X-Men, were all kidnapped by an alien omnipresent force and transported to a planet where they were forced to fight each other.
You were ahead of your time.
A year later, Jim Shooter published Secret Wars. And that was not the first time that happened. It's happened over and over and over. The New Warriors, I created them at least 2 years before that book even came out. And I called them the New Guardians. But or maybe I called them the Young Warriors. Anyway,
Okay. Well,
but
the new Guardians was DC, so you're on their
Right.
wavelength too. Yeah.
You know, it was the young warriors is what I call them.
Okay. I like
And
that.
but Marvel came out with the exact same team. I had the exact same people. It was
Wow.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this happens over and over. But so in high school, I get bit by the theater bug. I win these awards. I start winning scholarships for music. I won a major opera scholarship.
Oh, nice.
And I got basically a full ride scholarship to study music and theater at Eastern Kentucky University. So I was like, okay, art will be my thing for myself. I'm not going to, you know, create on somebody else's deadline. But so I go to college and I'm in this show choir at Eastern Kentucky University. And we were one of the top ranked performance groups in the country, like number 1 or 2, right behind Gold Company from University of Michigan or Michigan U. I don't know, Michigan State. So anyway, we're performing, we're on tour, and I must have been a sophomore or a junior. And we're on tour and we're performing at this place in Hazard, Kentucky, Hazard High School. And it's a high school up in the mountains. You got to go up the mountain to get to it. Yeah. And we're performing in the gymnasium. And I had a solo. I did My Brown-Eyed Girl. Hey, where did we go?
Van Morrison.
Days when the rain came. Yeah. And every night I would go down to the front row, come off stage, go down to the front row and sing to a little girl or a woman in the audience. And this particular night at Hazard, Kentucky, there's this girl sitting in front of the bleachers in a wheelchair. And so I go down to her and I'm singing. I take her hand and I sing, you, my brown-eyed girl. And I smile at her, I wink at her, and I turn to go up on stage, and she squeezes my hand tighter and pulls me closer to her and says, I love you. And, that's really sweet. But in the entertainment industry, in the show business entertainment industry, that's not unusual. You're a celebrity, you're a big deal to anyone in the audience, no matter what size stage you're on. And so I was like, oh, that's sweet. Thank you. And I go up, we finish the show, and we're standing at the end of the show. I'm standing in what they call the enjoyed it line, the reception line. And you've done community theater. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, hey, I really love that. That was so good. Thank you so much for that show. Yeah. And so up comes this little girl in the wheelchair, pushed by her mother. And her mother makes eye contact with me and starts to just sob. Oh. She's crying. And she comes up to me and she says, thank you so much. And I'm like, well, you're welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Said, this is Amanda. She's 12 years old. She was put in this wheelchair when she was 5 in a car accident that killed her father. Oh, no. And she hasn't spoken a day since. She hasn't spoken a word since that day.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
And that changed that shook me. And it made me realize that art has power to impact people's lives. And every day that I, put on a fedora, put on the Harley makeup, every day I start to type something out or, create a new piece of content, do a new podcast, whatever it is, I think about Amanda and the impact art and music had on her life. And I just think about her and I think, I don't know where the next Amanda is. I don't know where they're going to come from, what project they're going to be impacted by. And so because of that, I do invest 100% of my being into being a storyteller. And that's what I consider myself, Brian. Yes, there are a lot of little spokes in that umbrella, but the umbrella is I'm a storyteller.
Right.
And I tell stories through the written word, through art, through magic, through music, through podcasting. And I'm a storyteller at heart. And so Amanda's memory and the impact of that night is what drives me. And that really motivates me to do the best that I possibly can for whoever that next Amanda is going to be. And along the way, I've performed in Las Vegas, off Broadway. I've been a world champion in magic. I've sung at Carnegie Hall. Been on Star Search 1990, America's Got Talent season 3. And now here I am on your fine program.
I know you can just give it up now. You've reached the pinnacle, right?
Well, so here's the thing about that, Brian, is, I have literally, and I don't say this braggingly, I literally have led a life and had a career that a lot of people only dream of.
Exactly.
At 50 years old, I've done more than most people do by the time they're 80 or by the time they're 40.
Right.
And back in October of 2020, actually it was September 25th, I started feeling sick at an event that you were at with me at Non-Com.
Where we got the graphic for this episode too.
That's right.
Yes.
And oh my God, what a picture to pick. Look at the difference in this face since then.
Yeah, you've worked at it, dude.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, I discovered how to survive COVID-19 the hard way. I got COVID. I was down for the count for 15 days.
Yes, you were.
And then after they cleared me to go back to work, that's when the real problems started. I go back to work and I'm still exhausted, but I go up the first flight of steps and I can't breathe. I'm gasping for air. And a week later, after trying to do steroids and antibiotics, they admit me into the hospital. I had blood clots in 90% of my lungs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so I'm in the hospital. I'm on massive blood thinners. I'm on oxygen. And I'm sitting there, thinking back across this career, an amazing career that I've had, but realizing that, I got 2 phone calls, one from a friend of mine who lives in Clarksville that I went to high school with. And I got some texts from my other League of Impossibilists founders. But other than that, yes, I posted stuff on Facebook, but nobody was like calling me or messaging me asking, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And I kind of realized that I had spent 30 years entertaining millions of complete strangers at the expense of relationships with friends and family. And it had gotten to the point, Brian, where people didn't even call me to invite me to go do things anymore because they knew I was going to tell them, oh, I can't. I've got a show that weekend, or I've got rehearsal tonight, or, whatever. I missed family vacations. It was crazy. And I just decided, right then and there, I didn't want to do that anymore. And I put music and magic and acting and to some degree, the Diesel Punk podcast. I've been doing that for 10 years. 10,000 downloads or more per episode. Our last episode that we did, 42,000 downloads.
Wow.
But I set it aside because it was taking up so much time. And I did not want to sacrifice time with friends and family. So after that, I still have that urge to perform and to connect. And, we were already working on the League of Impossibilist comic series. That was a big part of that project and still is. That's getting ready to release. But I needed still an avenue to perform. And so Back of the Cereal Box was really an outpouring or a result of that, because I can get up at 8 o'clock Saturday morning and do it before the rest of the family is awake. And that's what we do. Me and my co-host, we get together. We're in our pajamas, eating big bowls of cereal, talking about the stuff that I was exposed to on the back of the cereal box as a kid. Because you and I are of a generation, we didn't have iPads or iPhones at the breakfast table on Saturday morning. We were reading the back of the cereal box, and that was a portal for us. I've heard you tell the story that you learned to read reading comics on the back of a cereal box.
Yeah, and also the especially the Czech cereals were popular in our house, and they had that little faux newspaper. At least back in my day, when I was a kid back in the 50s, and it was like jokes and a cartoon or two. But that was you're right. That I think people look at folks like us probably the way we looked at our parents when they were this age. And, it's like when I was young, I couldn't understand how they could exist without television. But, then I got exposed to radio, the old time radio programs, and was like, okay, I get it now. And dear God, have I missed out on a lot. But so, I identify with a lot of that too.
Yeah. So and as far as, writing, my book, which is on a jump card, Nightright.
Hashtag always promote.
That came out in April, but this was done years ago. It was originally published as part of Tales from the Flip Side from Seventh Star Press. Well, we decided to part ways, the publisher and I, and Holly and Steven from Seventh Star Press. Or wait, Pro Se Press is who published.
Yeah, that's Tommy Hancock.
Yeah, published Tales from the Flip Side, which Jeffrey Hayes did the cover for. But we decided to part ways, and Seventh Star Press came forward and said, hey, we want to republish it. And so I was able to have a little bit more control. And this was the very first story I ever wrote. And if anyone remembers Logan Masterson, he is the one who gave me the title Nightright. And but Tommy didn't like it. And Tommy, Pro Se buried this story in the middle of Tales from the Flip Side. And it's really the story that I think has the most commercial appeal. It's Netflix ready. And
I love that name. I seriously do. It's very evocative.
Yeah. And so when Holly and Steven said, we want to republish it, I said, okay, well, we got to republish the series with this book first. And so that's what we're doing. It's in ebook right now. And volume 2, which is A Night at the Roxy, will come out hopefully later this year. And we're probably going to use the original artwork that Jeffrey Hayes did for Tales from the Flip Side, because I retain the rights to the master, the manuscript, and with the edits. Tommy gave me everything. Yeah, and the artwork. So we'll it was very nice. But anyway, so but I create. A lot of people ask me, how do you do all that you do? Because I do. I write, I publish, I do a lot of social media content, promoting the podcast, and not just my show, Back of the Cereal Box. We have become kind of a little network. And we've got Kelly Gettner with Back Issue Breakfast Club, DL Memphis with the Ice Cream Queens, and her husband, the Geek Gumshoe, with Case Files of the Geek Gumshoe. And we're getting ready to release 2 new ones. Willow Schuyler has stepped up to the plate, and she's going to be taking Cryptid Crunch. Yes. And we're looking for co-hosts for her, looking for paranormal and cryptozoology enthusiasts. People are who sold out. And Kelly and Crayley of Phoenix Sisters Cosplay are going to do a second series called
Nice.
it's going to be a cosplay series, and it's either going to be called Cosplay Cafe or Cosplay Krispies. We're doing a poll on our Facebook group for Back of the Cereal Box in the virtual rec room, and they're neck and neck. So we need everyone watching, not right now, but afterwards, go to the virtual rec room for Back of the Cereal Box and cast your vote on the title. And everyone does they're responsible for creating their own content. We use StreamYard for the most of it, but some of it is pre-recorded and some of it is edited. But they create it. We use a Dropbox, and I post it up and share it out, and then they share it out. And so it doesn't take a whole lot of time. Everything that I do, I spend about maybe an hour a day on that stuff. And then I'll spend an hour, 2 hours a week on the comic book artwork stuff. I'll spend a couple hours a week writing. And, I tell people that it's the drip, drip, drip in the bucket effect. Little drips will eventually fill the bucket. So exactly. I'm not one of those guys who I'm like, oh, I got to write 1,000 words right now or 10,000 words a day. That's not me. I'm like, am I inspired right now? Okay, I'll write. Am I not? No, I'll go watch Superman and Lois on the CW, or I'll go out to dinner with my kids, whatever. And that's become my real priority, is putting friends and family first. And so sometimes I have to put off some things till later.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that, because full disclosure, John put off his Pilates tonight to be here, and I know how important that is to him. So definitely, I appreciate that. I really do.
And part of that recovery from COVID is a complete physical transformation. Not just socially or spiritually, but physically as well. I'm 20 pounds away from my college weight when I was, dancing on cruise ships and theme parks and, doing theater productions all year long. So
that's very cool. That's very cool. Let's get in some comments. We've been flashing some names on the screen of our friends, and we thank you all for being here. If you have any questions for Mr. Pyka here, please ask them. And Ryan, I saw you had a couple. We will get back to them. Willow Schuyler says Johnny is sexy in fishnets.
You better believe it, baby.
Oh, boom chick.
It's all about the gams.
It is, by God, it is. And yes, John.
And someone posted today, thank God you wore shorts and not the booty shorts. Just wait.
I was going to say, that's the logical next step, because you got to be on model, dude, right?
That's right. Yeah. Harley Quinn has kind of become my thing. I did it as a challenge for our YouTube viewers, our fans. I said, look, if we will get to 1,000 subscribers, I will do Harley Quinn for Metrotham Con. And listen, we were under 500 at that point.
Right.
7 days later, we topped 1,000. And so I go to Metrotham Con as Harley Quinn, and everybody loved it. I was a fan favorite in the cosplay contest. I was named fan favorite, and I was just like, "Whoa, maybe there's something here." Yeah. And so now I'm Johnny Quinn Cosplay. There's actually a Facebook page for that, and I'll be doing it again for Superman Celebration, and working on the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn with the fringe jacket and whatnot.
Yeah.
I got to get some more money. You guys, buy me a coffee is where I've moved, Brian. We still have Patreon for League of Impossibilists.
Right.
But Back of the Cereal Box, buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. So you guys, if you want to see Johnny do Birds of Prey Harley Quinn, I need some help buying the costume pieces. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. John, if you would, in the private chat that we have here, type in that address and I'll post it on the screen. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
So, yeah, I'm afraid if I did something like that,
If
I'd
I
be the
can do
only
it.
you. Just go on the right-hand side. It says private chat. Click on that.
Well, I am, but I'm on my
Or
phone.
in your phone. Okay,
Yeah,
hold on a second then.
it
What was
doesn't
that
like
again? Give me the address.
It's Buy Me a Coffee.
Buy. Oh, see, hold on a second here. Buy me a coffee. Uh-huh.
.com
.com. Okay.
/
Slash.
cereal box pod. POD.
Cereal box pod. It's not easy typing with your fingers elevated like this. So buy me a coffee.com cereal box pod. Okay, I'm going to copy this. This is part of the glamour that goes on behind the show, people. Again, a glimpse into the sordid the sordid side of this operation here. And here we go. Did I do it? Yes, I did. Yay, me. Buymeacoffee.com cereal box pod. Please check that out. Drop John some money there so that he can be your favorite cosplay babe. You know what I'm saying? We've got some more comments from people, and thank you all for your comments so far. Teresa Dunn says John is pure awesomeness. Yes,
thank you, Teresa.
Oh, and let's see. And Teresa and Willow are talking to each other. Hello, everyone. And Willow also says, John, you have the same satellite following you that seems to take my ideas. I think you're pulling them right out of your heads. So, let's see. Oh, and from the desk of the small press publisher, Jody McPhee says he hasn't done everything. John still needs to host Showtime at the Apollo or a new version of American Bandstand.
I did. I wasn't on Showcase at the Apollo, Showtime at the Apollo, right. But I was on Evening at the Improv.
Oh, there you go.
You guys remember that on A&E?
Yeah.
It was not good.
It took place in that comedy club. It was like a Friday nights, I think it was, like on USA or something.
A&E.
A&E, that was it. That was it. Yeah, I watched that show religiously.
Yeah, I tried my hand at stand-up comedy. And that was the pinnacle of my stand-up career, and I was done.
That's a rough gig, though. That seriously is. And it's soul-crushing if you don't have, the proper shielding up.
Well,
Michaela J.
I did gigs with guys like Jeff Dunham and Oswald Patton before they were anybody, you know? So, yeah.
Well, it's like my boss at the comic shop used to say about kids that graduated from college and, moved on from being our customers. Remember that when they are all going on to bigger and better things, you'll still be here. And he wondered why I wasn't exactly considering that good news. Michaela J says, wow, that's pretty powerful. Hashtag family first. That is right. And also don't forget, Michaela J does a morning Kick in the Pants to get you going on YouTube, and also Friday nights at 7 p.m. Tidbits and Scribbles, and she's going to be talking about our time at Heroes for Kids Con last weekend, which was wonderful. Dan Hollifield says, of Stupid O'Clock, Thursdays at 9, Saturdays at 11, hashtag always promote. You have to take time to connect with family and friends and time for yourself too. That's true. You've got to recharge your batteries. You really do. And Dory Jones, glad to have you here. The Sunday Funnies was something my whole week looked forward to. Yeah, same with mine. And Willow confesses that she has so much fun co-hosting and filling in for you on Back of the Cereal Box. And that's always good to hear. Joe Dog McKeel says, Logan Masterson, I would not be doing what I do now without his encouragement. Dang, this pollen is bad in here. You poor man. I feel for you, man. And I'm not having pollen. You're having pollen. Hello, Mulu Motion. How you doing? And here we go. Now, we've got a couple of questions from Ryan Permison at the start of the show, but here's one I think will be important for you. Christian illusionist Jake Lindsay says, question for John, which magician inspired you to be Big Daddy Cool? From whom did you take that persona?
Okay, so my dad was a teamster and a professional con man. He would specialize in short cons. 3-card monte, the Shell Game, Hustling Pool, Selling Amway, and there's another story there. But he was also, my dad was the Secretary of Business Affairs for the Teamsters National Organization. He died almost 3 months ago now, and he was the last living member of Jimmy Hoffa's inner circle.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up with guys around me like No Neck Manelli, Mickey the Mechanic Paxos, Jimmy the Fish, the Pittsburgh, Chicago, Cleveland, circuit. And so that kind of informed that wise guy attitude that Big Daddy Cool had. And kind of my dad was the first one to introduce me to magic. Because con man stuff uses a lot of sleight of hand. And so the card stuff that he would show me got me interested, but it wasn't until I was 8 years old I saw that magician in Fort Wayne on a business trip with my dad that I was like, oh, okay. But then, I always had a love affair for the 1940s. So Harry Anderson, some of you will remember him from Night Court. He was a phenomenal magician. And Orson Welles were my two biggest magical influences. And basically I took them and mashed them with Michael Jackson and Randy Macho Man Savage. And that became Big Daddy Cool, Johnny Della Rocca, swinging solid on the 2 and 4. Can you dig that? And so when you see me on stage doing that character, a lot of my physical mannerisms, once there's Michael Jackson and Randy Macho Man Savage in there.
Yeah, I saw the hand thing. Yeah, I got that.
You spot it right away.
Yeah.
And once people know that, they're like, I see it. So and I draw my inspiration, Jake, from all kinds of sources. As a magician, one of the most magical things I've ever seen is Kermit the Frog.
Yes.
Jim Henson working Kermit the Frog, he was a magician because he made us believe that a piece of felt and plastic was a real person, a real character. But like Fred Astaire, watching him dance and do cane work, huge inspiration.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's great. That is super. Well, Ryan Permisson has who has a great show on Saturday afternoons at noon called And I Quote at noon Eastern on the Hanging with Web Show Network. He asks how we are. We're fine. Hope you're doing well. What are your favorite movies from the last few years, John? I know you are an avid moviegoer.
I am. Last few years, this year, Mitchell's versus the Machines is the best movie I've seen in 2021. Phenomenal. If anyone has not seen it, it's free on Netflix. Watch it. 2020, the best movie I saw, I think, was it's a toss-up between Soul from Pixar and Love and Monsters. What a great movie. What a great y I have an eclectic taste. So those are my favorite from the last few years.
Definitely. And he also wants to know what books you would recommend to everyone that are not yours. I was going to say your first thing should be Nightrike, but other than that.
Yeah, Nightrike is definitely on there. Okay, so I have a couple. One is A Customer is Born Every Minute by Joe Vitale. It is a business book, but it teaches you advertising and promotion through the lens of P.T. Barnum's techniques
Mm-hmm.
and how to use basically outrageous marketing to, to market your product or your business. Phenomenal. Everyone who's in broadcasting or show business needs to read that book. The other book that I love is Danny, Champion of the World by Roald Dahl. It's maybe my favorite non-fiction book, or fiction book rather. And then wow, what another great book. I would say there's for the magicians out there, Jake, you could read my book, Theatrical Magic, or the better book is Maximum Entertainment by Ken Weber, which will teach Jake how to solve his problem of people turning him down to come on stage. The answer is in Maximum Entertainment. It's a phenomenal book.
I'm writing that down because go ahead.
And actually anybody who is in the public eye in any form, shape, if you're even just selling your books at a convention, if you're an author, broadcaster, I would recommend those books. Customers Born Every Minute and Maximum Entertainment. The lessons you will get from them will, I really can't recommend them highly enough. And I would add in there a third book in that genre called Find the Stuff That's You by Chris Carey. And Chris Carey he was a motivational speaker and had a background in magic and theater. He died about 5 years ago, sadly, but Find the Stuff That's You teaches you how to analyze your own personality, your talents, desires, and to find material or find a vehicle to express that is perfect to you. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think a lot of people don't realize how entertaining these kind of books can be.
Yeah,
because you made a joke about Amway, but 20 years ago I was in Amway, and that I was in the branch where they encouraged reading over sales.
Yeah,
and self-development. I was in Dexter Yeager's leg.
Well, so if we're gonna play 6 degrees of separation, I'm 2 degrees of separation from Dexter Yeager. Dexter and my dad were close friends.
Oh, very cool.
Similar background. They were both Teamsters, truck drivers.
Yeah.
Both high school dropouts, and my parents were 3 deep from Dexter in his downline.
Nice.
My parents were diamonds, so you understand what that means. So
yes, I do.
Yeah. So not only did I have a career unlike anybody else, but I had a childhood unlike anybody else in our town. And so one time my mom, she loved mink coats. She wanted a new mink, and the designer that she wanted was only available in Venice, and didn't, it was the days before the internet, before international shipping.
Right.
So my parents got on a plane at the spur of the moment, bought a plane ticket at the counter.
Oh, wow.
Got on a plane, flew to Venice, Italy, bought the mink coat, had dinner on the canal, and then flew back within a 12-hour span of time. Well, 24-hour, because, you know what I'm saying. They just went, spent a couple hours, turned around, and flew back. And that was the kind of lifestyle I had growing up. So,
well, also entrepreneurial. Because one thing that the right legs in Amway, there were ones that wound up on 60 Minutes, but a lot of the legs in Amway promoted entrepreneurship, promoted freedom, creating your own business, and improving yourself in the process, which informs a lot of what I do, and I can see it informing a lot of how you approach your creativity and the business behind it.
Well, and for those of you who don't know Dexter Yeager,
Oh
You
yeah.
know, I got to hang out with him as a kid. You know,
Mhm.
he would be at the house, and one of the things that he would tell people when they ask him, like on an airplane or in an elevator, so what do you do? And he says, well, I dabble with this and that. And they'd be like, what do you mean? Well,
Yeah.
and he would ask them, well, what do you do? And depending on their answer, he would respond appropriately. You know, he had 12 best-selling books. He
Yes.
he had a successful, you know, obviously distributorship. Um,
Yeah.
he uh, he uh, he did a lot and a lot of
Mhm.
different things. And so depending on who he was talking to would determine what he emphasized.
Mhm.
But and so I kind of borrowed that concept from him.
Yeah.
You know, people will ask me, well, what do you do? And I'll ask them, well, what do you do?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I'll say, oh, well, yeah, I'm an author. I've got this book. Or, oh yeah, I'm a podcaster. Do you like to have fun? Do you like to relive the youth and Saturday mornings of your youth? Yeah, check
Mhm.
out Back in the Cereal. But you know, so it just
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. My degree of separation, aside from being, I think I was about 6 people below him, but he was at an event, one of the big events in um, Atlanta one year, and he was walking down the aisle working the crowd. And I was within 6 feet of him and John, and we made eye contact. John just left us. We'll just wait for him to come back now. But we can vamp. Anyway, folks, please, yeah,
Rubbed off. Sorry about that.
that's okay, man. The joys of live broadcasting.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, I was about to say, he was walking down the aisle at this event in Atlanta, Georgia, where Cookie and I were, and like I got within 6 feet, made eye contact. He nodded at me, and that's my brush with stardom. So, but no, I've got a few of his books still, and he was a great speaker, a great motivational guy, and that's what got me personally into reading people like Zig Ziglar, who I think was a genius, and
Yeah.
Les Brown, who I still follow. You know, there's
Well,
a lot of inspiration there.
so Zig Ziglar
Yeah.
was at my house for a New Year's Eve party
Oh,
growing up.
nice.
Yeah. You know, and you know, people like do you remember Doug Weed? Doug Weed was an
Yeah,
advisor in the Reagan White House.
I do remember. Yeah. Hmm.
You know, we would hang out with him,
Hmm.
and you know, those were the kind of people. After my dad retired from the Teamsters and got into Amway,
Right.
these were the kind of people that I was associating with from like about 6th grade on.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's another lesson. That's something we learned in my branch of Amway too, which was surround yourself with successful people.
Mm-hmm.
People who maybe, 5 years, 10 years down the road, you want to be like, you want to have their lifestyle.
Right.
And so I'm starting to see a lot of things here, and yes, I wrote down those books. I'm going to have to look for them tomorrow. We've got some more questions here, and yes, Dan Hollifield, letters are hard. So is math. That's what I learned from Barbie. Joe Dog McKeel says, "What is your best movie ever? Any genre, any era? What is your all-time desert island film, John?"
Casablanca.
Thank you. I love that film too.
It's the best movie ever made.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't make movies like that anymore. The dialogue is perfect, the script is perfect, the cinematography is perfect, the story is perfect. It is just a perfect movie.
It really is. It really is. And that's one that I keep, every now and then Hollywood says, well, we're going to remake Gone with the Wind or Citizen Kane.
Please don't.
Those two movies and Casablanca. If you have not seen Casablanca, folks, you've got to see it. To give you some incentive, one of the screenwriters for it was Lee Brackett, who wrote The Empire Strikes Back. That shows you that, one of the few sequels that's better than the original, maybe.
Well,
but anyway,
so you've got to see Casablanca just to see Peter Lorre.
Oh my God, yes, and Sidney Greenstreet.
Yeah,
he was exceptional.
Rick, I know you don't like me, but
yeah.
Yeah, he was so good. He was so good.
He was, and that's probably one of his very few A films. He did a lot of B films, but this is one where, he stepped right up to the plate, and he held his own against a lot of strong performers there.
Yeah.
And it's surprising. I was on a podcast. I won't mention that it was the Dastardly Dingoes, but they had not seen Casablanca, and I was like, even though I'm considerably older than everyone here, my generation, that was like one you had to see. You had to see things like Citizen Kane. You had to see Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, and even if you weren't into that sort of film, you had to watch Casablanca because it was kind of a cultural touchstone.
Well, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of Citizen Kane. I love Orson Welles, but that's my least favorite work of his.
Yeah. But I can see where, from a historical cinema perspective, why it was so influential and how it inspired a lot of people, like even in comic books, like Will Eisner, even Bob Kane, and Jack Kirby, to take a more cinematic approach to their work.
Oh, no doubt. It is definitely a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's just not one of my favorite masterpieces.
I understand that. You don't have to like everything. The Big Sleep with Bogart.
Yeah.
I am a monstrous Bogart fan. I have never been able to stay awake through the whole thing.
Well,
it knocks me right out. I don't know what it is about that film. It and the 76 King Kong. I've never seen the whole thing.
You know what? I don't know that I've seen the 76 King Kong. The 82 or 84 King Kong? It was the TV version of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where instead of the Empire State Building, you went up the Twin Towers.
Yes, that's the one.
And that it was with Grizzly Adams. What was his name?
Dan Haggerty.
Dan Haggerty.
Yes.
Played the protagonist in that. Yeah, but
cringe.
Well, but listen, I love that movie because Burger King did those limited edition glasses, those collectible glasses.
Right.
I've got the whole set.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love it. Okay, we've got some more comments here, and keep them coming, folks. Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. See them every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. on the Hang with Web Show Network. What advice do you give fellow podcasters that you come across in your own experience?
All right. So I have a lot of advice for podcasters.
I'll go get a pizza. Do you just keep going, John? I'm good.
It depends on what you want to accomplish. So I started the first time I ever did a podcast was in 2005. I had published a book called Theatrical Magic. And I wrote that book because I had injured myself on stage. And so during the rehab period, I had realized at the urging of a friend, hey, you've been posting all these articles on this forum. You guys will remember the old forums at the early days of the internet.
The bulletin boards, yeah.
Yeah, the bulletin boards. And I was very active in several of them, but the one most active that I eventually ended up buying was called Magic Talk. And magictalk.com had 27,000 users. And, I'm posting a lot, and I'm posting these articles and someone said, you need to take all of that and put it into a book. Mm-hmm. And so I did. Yeah. And so and it was published by Leaping Lizards Magic, called Theatrical Magic. And it was an instant industry bestseller, but I kept getting all of these emails from people who read the book saying, but what about this? What about this? How do you do this? Or, what do you think of this? And I was like, how am I going to answer all of these questions? I can't do it by email. And a friend said, well, why don't you just start a podcast? And so I did. Mm-hmm. And I launched a podcast from that book with 3,000 subscribers day one, because I marketed the podcast to the people who had bought the book. And back then, podcasts were only available on iTunes and downloaded to your iPod. That's why they're called podcasts. And they cost 99 cents an episode to download, just like music was. So I immediately made $3,000 day one. And I got up to 5,000 subscribers. Back in those days, they showed you how many subscribers you had on Apple. Yeah, you just saw it. And
Yes.
I got up to 5,000 subscribers before they changed the model to free. But I was doing $5,000 an episode for the Theatrical Magic podcast, and it's still out there. And then I moved on to from that project to do Tales from the Geek on comicspriceguide.com. Did 117 episodes of that, and we were the very first, Brian, video podcast about comics every week. We predated The Nerdist, and we were averaging 60 to 80,000 viewers a week per episode. Now, that was because comicspriceguide.com has over 300, well, now it's over 800,000 subscribers, users. I mean, huge network.
Right.
And that was advantageous. Well, you know, I left that show to finish my book, Tales from the Flip Side. And, you know, the producer of that show took personal umbrage that I was quitting. And that's a whole nother story. But, and then about a year later, I was approached by graphicpolicy.com, one of the top 5 news sites for comics and geek pop culture, said, hey, would you like to create something similar for us? And we did 130 episodes of Comic Extravaganza. Diesel Punk podcast. We did 10 years.
That's a lot.
Over 500,000 downloads. Averaging, 10 to 40,000 downloads an episode. And the thing that I would recommend to everyone, and now I'm doing back to the cereal box, is one, there are 5 things you need exactly to be a successful podcaster or video podcaster. 1, passion. When you cannot go another day without sharing your message or sharing what you're passionate about, that's when you start a podcast. 2, you got to have knowledge. Passion and knowledge about your subject. You need to be the subject matter expert or know where to find the subject matter experts. 3, you've got to have enthusiasm. You've got to have energy. You've got to be enthusiastic about doing it. You've got to bring the juice, bring the fire. And then 4, you got to have personality. You got to have a memorable, distinct, intentional personality. Brian, you're perfect, a perfect model of this. You've created an image, a persona. You got to have a persona. And number 5, and this is the last thing on the list, is talent. I can teach you how to create persona. I can teach you how to pretend to have talent, to create the illusion of talent. I'm really good at creating that illusion. What I cannot help you with is passion, knowledge, or enthusiasm. If you don't have those 3 things, you're not going to be successful. And then, golly, there's so many other things. I mean, I've had monumental success, profound failures. I've had huge sponsors, national brand sponsors for different shows, and I've struggled to pay the bills. And I have lessons from each one. I will tell you right now, anyone who is in broadcasting, if you're doing an audio podcast, a video podcast, or any kind of semblance of that, you need to be on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a drop-in audio app. It's basically Zoom without the cameras. And it has become the most valuable learning lab tool I've ever experienced. Look, I've been podcasting since 2005. I thought I knew a lot about podcasting until I started hanging out on Clubhouse. and I realized how much I don't know. And it's been like a college level education for me. It's phenomenal, and it's free. It's one of those things, Brian, we talked about,
Right.
that personal growth about reading, investing in tools. In the Amway business, you got to invest in
Right.
the tools, the tapes
Exactly.
and the books and the
Right.
tape. And
Right.
it's the same thing. You got to be reading, you got to be networking, and you got to turn your car into a learning lab.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need to turn off the TV, turn off the radio, and just learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
Clubhouse is awesome for it.
yeah, you turned me onto that, and it's one of those I've really got to get into that. That's on me. But
Look, you
yeah.
can have it. It started replacing my drive time radio. I would
Mhm.
listen to talk radio on the way into my office because I do
Oh
have a day
yeah.
job too.
Yeah.
And Clubhouse has replaced that. And
Cool.
I just have it playing in my earbuds
Yeah.
throughout the day. Sometimes I'll participate, sometimes I can't. But regardless of whether I can contribute or not,
Mhm.
it's a huge learning opportunity. And listen, I found I've been guests on other podcasts as a result of being on Clubhouse. Three other podcasts, they found me and they said, "Hey, we want you to be a guest." And now I'm going to be a speaker at Club Pod, a conference for podcasters, the same
Nice.
weekend as Superman Celebration. So while I'm live at Superman Celebration, I'm going to be on the conference for Club Pod talking about how
Mhm.
to build a podcast and how to build a following.
Nice.
And
Fantastic.
the other piece of advice I would give you guys wanting to get into broadcasting, and Brian, this is something you've done really well, is identify your tribe.
Mhm.
Identify who your audience is and go where they are.
Mhm.
Um, for most of us, that's social media in some form or fashion. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Figure out where your audience hangs out
Mhm.
and go hang out with them, engage with them, communicate with them. Um, Maybe that's live events like
Yeah.
comic book conventions. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. So that's the other piece of advice. So that's a
That's
lot
great.
of meat and potatoes.
That is, folks. If you paid to get here, by God, you just got your money's worth in the last 5 minutes. And to brag on John, and first of all, thank you for your praise, sir, because I've been watching your growth as a broadcaster. I was aware of all the other stuff you did, but just like you've just shot up magnificently. Well, how long's your network been going? It's been less than 6 months, right?
November.
November, yeah.
Yeah.
So, folks, you want to surround yourself with success. I'm telling you, the guy in the next panel here is an excellent model for it because try to get inspiration from him every chance I get. It's, and I say that in jest because really a lot of the stuff that we have learned has come from others, and then we just put our own different spin on it, which is something we all have to do, I think. But yeah, seriously, check out this man's broadcasting, and you will be excited. You will love it. He's got a really strong identity for his stuff, and we're glad you're here, Sarah. Sarah, hello. And Joe Dog McKeel says, Casablanca, you are now allowed to be my friend. FYI, Casablanca is still not streamed free. There is still a fee to watch it. It's worth it. It's seriously worth it.
Buy it on Blu-ray. Get the remastered 80th edition of it and enjoy it in the most beautiful format you can watch it.
Yeah, that's like next it's like It and the Rocketeer are my two of my favorite films. And will we see the return of Big Daddy Cool? Now we kind of got a little taste of him at Imaginarium, didn't we?
Well, kind of.
You were kind of dolled up like him one day.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: as a character, and I talk about this in my book, Theatrical Magic. All character, all personas, whether you're playing an exaggerated version of yourself or a separate character completely different from yourself, because Big Daddy Cool is completely different from me. But still, all of the foundational building blocks of character, of persona, come from who you are in real life. And so my love for retro culture and fashion was one of those foundations. You know, Dick Tracy color forms are in the backdrop. Dick Tracy is the visual aesthetic that I kind of borrowed for Big Daddy Cool. Crayola colors, larger than life comic books, combined with, my dad's checkered Teamster Conman past and my love of swing music. That's what formed all that. And that never goes away, So yeah, at Imaginarium, I'm still wearing the fedora and some of the vintage style retro rockabilly stuff. And so that never goes away. But Jake, I don't know. I did I did get coerced by Holly into doing a performance piece for the awards banquet, which was really a lot of fun. And I don't want to say that I was bitten again, but I'm not going to rule out anything. Never say never.
Well, if we can get serious for a moment here, I remember right after you had your little bout with the COVID, and you reassessed your life and your priorities, and you publicly stated that, you were going to let Big Daddy cool. Because one thing that during that time, and tied in with the Big Daddy cool thing, was you were kind of questioning performing again.
Well, right.
And one other thing that struck me, and I really want to get this out there because I think it was really thought provoking. Because I remember you were talking, and I was trying to be sympathetic, but I didn't really understand where you were coming from until you mentioned one day you were used to the one-on-one in performing, the immediate gratification, and suddenly it's like, okay, everything now becomes clear because I've done stage work. Yeah, we get this. We get the standing O. In being at a show, whether it's a Comic-Con, book signing, whatever, you still have that one-on-one. And it could be getting a laugh from somebody, it could be getting a smile, or getting a sale. But there is that immediate one-on-one. And I had never really given that much thought until you'd mentioned that. And I think something like that is something that really needs to be in the back of, everyone's mind, whether they're doing sales or they're doing performing or they're performing while they're doing sales, So
well, and StreamYard has been a game changer in that regards.
Yeah.
One of the thank God for the pandemic, because listen, Comic Extravaganza that we did for Graphic Policy was actually the first live streaming comic book review show on the net. We did it before anybody else did, but we used a platform called Ustream, which was not interactive. And it's not, and I know that Zoom was around before StreamYard, but really, truly, StreamYard perfected the whole interactive experience for live streaming. And it allowed me to have that immediate audience feedback that, I got on stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I will say that neither John nor I are employed by or have any financial dealings with StreamYard, although I pay them a certain amount to get all the bells and whistles.
I pay them a lot of money every month, and I'm riding them hard about Teams.
Yeah, so am I. For those of you who don't know, and this may be something that some of you who may be tempted to broadcast might be into, for instance, our Thursday show, Comic Book Spectrum, I could assign Brian, Clyde, and Eric roles that would make them more than just passive, participants. I'm basically the director. Just like when John has somebody on back of the cereal box, he is the director and he's making all the technical choices, where you could farm out some of the responsibility to other people in your stream without having to give them your password to get into the account. So
yeah, and right now, I mean, the other people who do the live stream shows, they do have access to the admin account.
Mhm.
And it takes a long time for me to vet someone and to give up that trust.
Right.
But once we move to Teams, ooh,
Yeah.
it's going to be a game changer. Game changer.
It seriously is. It seriously is. And anyone who's interested in more information, StreamYard has a YouTube channel, and I do recommend everyone go there Sunday nights at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central Time. They have a half-hour show with the two guys who created it, who are obnoxiously young, and damn them for being young. But anyway, they're very smart people, and they take requests. But yeah, I'm with you. I want that Teams feature so badly.
I want that, and I want to be able to shuffle around my cart.
Yes. Yeah, the Teams, the shuffling, because you see me looking off to the side all the time. And I'm sure you go through it too.
Yeah, I just want to click in order. I don't want to have to go, okay, where is the, okay.
And if you want to change it around a little, then you can do that, because I do that, but that involves, now here's a peek behind the curtain, kids. Go to the top of my queue for the stuff I need, like the countdown clock. Then I have to go down to the bottom of the queue to get, to get my intro. Then I have to go up to get my sponsors. I have to go back down again if I have Greta ball me out. So, there's a lot more to this, kids, than you realize, but John does it so very well. So, let's see. And Christian Jake has another question here. What type of magic do you like more, parlor, close-up, or stage magic? Do you do a lot of close-up magic, John, or is it just strictly stage?
I did 2 years exclusively doing close-up at House of Cards here in Nashville. Uh-huh. And that's a Magic Castle inspired venue, very swanky, very high end. Oh, yeah. And I did almost exclusively close up for that. But you know what? I don't like one more than the other. I like any form of expression that allows me to tell a story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as long as I can tell a story and impact someone's life, even if it's just helping them escape their reality for 10 minutes and just have fun, but is whatever that looks like, whether that's writing a book or doing a podcast or doing close-up magic, it doesn't matter to me as long as I get to tell a good story.
Exactly. And I think that's the basis of a lot of us, that we have a story to tell, all of us. But whether we do it like orally, whether we do it broadcasting in comic books, novels, film, podcasting, whatever, it's the whole communication thing.
Yeah.
And I agree that entertainment, we need it so very desperately right now. So anyway, Christian Jake, who is a snazzy dresser himself and has many shiny jackets, asks, how many costumes do you own?
Too many.
Well, you were certainly in your finery at Imaginarium, which, folks, if next year you need to go to Imaginarium, it is quite the experience if you're loving books, really.
I wore 6 different outfits at Imaginarium. Yeah. Between the 3 days. And I brought 2 more that I didn't wear. I bring more clothes than the average woman to a con.
I understand that. Joe Dog McKeel says, a little tribute here. I would not be where I am with StreamYard without John B. Pyka. He got me started, and my tinkering mind took off and ran with it. But me on StreamYard is John B. Pyka's fault. I think it's a glorious thing because, you're now doing, was it Armchair Rocket Science and Stupid O'Clock, and then Dan has spun off into Last Man Standing. I'd say I'd be pretty grateful to John too. 3 of the jewels in the Rising Tide Broadcast Network crown. And Sarah asks, what's that yellow thing behind your head, John? Is that a comic book? I can't tell. Just curious. I know what it is. Oh, that's the color forms, right?
Yeah, Dick Tracy color forms. I've never opened it up.
I see it still in the shiny cellophane. Yeah.
Yeah, it was gifted to me by a friend. Because he knows I love Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
And he knows that I loved color forms because I was talking about it on a podcast one time. Color forms were, I mean, I played with them all the time. And this color forms were actually, playing with action figures was one way to tell stories, but color forms was maybe the first interactive way that I could create visual stories, comic book stories. So those of you who are too young to remember color forms, so sorry for you. But I don't know, Brian, should I open them up?
No. We can explain I don't know that they even make color forms anymore.
They don't.
I didn't think so. You want to explain what color forms were?
Yeah, so they're vinyl, not quite stickers, but vinyl,
like
static cling decals that there's a cardboard like backdrop that has a certain substance on it, and you can stick those vinyl cutouts on the board, and they stay there.
Yeah. Well, and also, and Joe Dog is voicing his opinion. No, do not open. There you go. But you can lick the spine. That goes along on this show. There we go. Oh, that's for you, Sarah. That's for you, darling. But no, and also, one thing I always thought was cool was that the arms and legs had different positions. Because I think I had a Superman one when I was very young, and you could bend the leg. You had one where the legs were bent, another one where the legs were straight. The arms were in different positions. Yeah, and different. Sometimes 2 or 3 different faces on them. Like a profile maybe, and then a straight on look. So yeah, these God, I remember how entertaining those things were. And I was like you. I used to make up my own little stories with those things.
Yeah, I'd make up and then I had a disposable camera that I would take a picture of it. Somewhere there's a box of pictures of color form stories.
Oh my gosh. Please look for that thing. I would love to see it myself. And Christian Illusionist Jake Lindsay wants to know, how many decks of cards do you own?
A lot.
Probably 3 more than he has costumes. So, and here's an important question. How do you, and this is a good one for anyone in a storytelling field, is how do you deal with hecklers?
So, I build my stage show to encourage hecklers.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I want them see, to me, any interaction is good interaction. But and I build my script, I write my script so that there are certain points where people will interact. And I have some pre-written comebacks.
Yeah.
Now, if someone's being nasty, if they yell out something nasty that is not fitting to the environment that I want to create, I might look at them and say, you remind me of someone I used to know, only they had a human head. Or I would say something like, hey, I'm working up here. Don't mess with me when I'm working. I don't come where you work and play with your trash cans.
Nice.
Or one of my favorites is, if they're trying to mess me up, I just look at them and I say, so do you trip the dancers at the ballet too? Or another good one is, and this one's racy, Christian Illusionist Jake Lindsay, this will not fit your show.
No,
but I'm like, sir, you really should be wearing a condom on your head. Because if you're going to act like a dick, you should dress like one. You're welcome.
Well done. This is for you, John. Nice. Nice. Sarah, we would love to know your story. You know we would. And do you have a overall favorite magic trick? And I'm going to expand this, that you've either done or that you have seen done.
My all-time favorite that I've seen is David Copperfield's elevator illusion. Love it, love it, love it.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite is my Bill to Lemon routine.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken me all around the world, and yeah, that's one of my favorite. And then my dancing cane. That made me a champion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys ever see, just look on my YouTube channel for the real John Pyka, and you can see my dancing cane work and see what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you just made a new fan with the licking there. And Christian Jake has a question. Have you ever needed to use the restroom while on stage?
No, maybe.
Well, if you had a hail pail like the rest of us.
I need to use it right now, but I'm going to wait as long as I can. But usually
I can give you a minute, John, if you need it.
Well, when I can't wait anymore, you'll know.
You'll just walk off the set like you're Amy Hale. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, Jake, you be intentional about those things. Yeah. And you don't drink a whole lot before you go on stage.
Yeah. And I will.
And that should be the last thing you do before you go on stage, is use the restroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And and it's true. I think when we do shows, one of the last things I do before the doors open to the public is I make sure I know where the men's room is, and that's where I go. That's when I do a show like this, I limit how much water I intake. So it's something you've got to be mindful of your own body, right?
Yeah. Well, when we were at Imaginarium, whether I needed to or not, before every panel that I was moderating, I went and used the restroom.
You and me both. In fact, I think we ran into each other at one point in there. So, we're friends. It's okay. Anyway, now Sarah has an interesting question. Now, this is something I've not seen a lot of illusionists / magicians. Do you use any tarot deck cards in your performances?
I have one tarot card deck.
Okay.
And I don't use it per se. Mm-hmm. I do a piece of mentalism with 3 specific tarot cards: the sun, the moon, and the sun, moon, and stars. Mm-hmm. But it's a prediction thing. But no, I'm not into using tarot per se.
Okay, all right. And Sarah approves of your sartorial choices for other people there. And Rick Bradley says, I read somewhere that Anthony Stewart Head, he played Giles on Buffy, that he would play Frankenfurter on stage and would heckle with the hecklers so much that the show would stop until he'd get back on track. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to handle your hecklers, depending on the venue, depending on the settings.
Well, and he did the same thing. He created an environment that encouraged it, because mm-hmm. he had some planned responses ready, and he was ready to improv along with them and create something that had never seen before and you'll never see again.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a comedian, Steve Hofstetter. He's got like a whole YouTube empire. He's a stand-up comedian. He travels extensively, and he sets up, like, at the end of the show, like a 10-minute thing where he allows people to ask questions, but he's very famous in his circle for handling hecklers and, like cutting them low. So, very low with that. And Joe Dog McKeel says the dancing cane is amazing. And what are you showing us there, John, in the background? Or are you just shifting positions?
Oh, I'm just shifting positions because I am going to ask you to take me out for about 30 seconds.
I'll give you a whole minute, John. That's
All
the
right.
kind of friend I am.
I'm sure you can run a commercial or vamp for just a minute, and I'll be right back.
We will do that, my friend. We will do that. In fact, we will talk about, and Jeffrey's going to be really happy about this as John rings out his Depends. Don't forget, folks, we have many people that watch us on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We have information and all kinds of cool stuff 7 days a week. And so does John B. Pyka. Also check out the real John Pyka and Back of the Cereal Box on YouTube. And please give that a subscription if you have not already. But mostly we've talked about them before and we'll talk about them again. Our sponsor is Jeffrey Hayes at Plasma Fire Graphics. Plasma Fire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you. And we want to thank Plasma Fire Graphics for an ongoing sponsorship of our shows. And also, please check them out not only on their Facebook page, but also plasmafiregraphics.com when the look of your book matters to you. And like I said, also, please take a screenshot of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network there, because we got your entertainment and information 7 days a week. So when you aren't watching John B. Pyka on his network, you can be watching our shows. We do our best, but John does even better. But anyway, and here he is. Right
How about that timing?
That was good, John.
Boom.
That was so good. Well done. You are a pro, my friend. At least I got warning with you. And let's see here. And here we go. Christian illusionist Jake Lindsay has his final question for you. And it's okay that you ask, Jake, because that's what this show is about, as long as they're relevant to my guests. Last question. Did you get your remote back from your friend on your Instagram?
No. She kept it.
What?
So he's referring to the video of the photo shoot that D. Barty and I did. D. Barty is my first co-host on Back of the Cereal Box, and she and I have been broadcasting together for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so we did a photo shoot for the podcast on Sunday, and we're in our pajamas fighting over the remote control. So you can see the behind the scenes video of that photo shoot on my Instagram and the Back of the Cereal Box Instagram.
Oh man!
But it was funny. Her remote, Jake. We were at her studio, so
there will be a barbed wire flaming death match for the remote, Jake, and it will be a pay-per-view event. So follow Back of the Cereal Box. Be sure to subscribe so that you can watch the carnage. It will be great. Bring the family. And Sarah says that's what I do when I'm about to go to bed. Otherwise, my bladder would scream at me once finding that sweet spot. Uninterrupted sleep is something that 65-year-olds generally don't get, so I hear.
Well, as part of my physical transformational journey, I am doing at least 8 16-ounce bottles of water every day. This is my 8th. Mm-hmm. So this is my 8th and final for the day, and I won't drink anything for 2 hours before I go to bed. Otherwise, I'm up.
You'll be wearing a rut between wherever you're sitting in the bathroom. I do know this thing. Yeah. And Christian Jake says, this one's the last time, this time for sure. Out of the bank ball, Palmo, and dye tube, what's your all-time favorite use for skills?
Silks. Neither.
Okay.
I don't use either one of them, Jake. So... Okay.
Yeah, because every illusionist has their own style, and you have to find your own unique voice. Like you have one, Jake, that is attuned to the Gospels, and that's cool. Whereas you've got a difference between a David Copperfield and a John B. Pyka and a Penn and Teller and a Harry Houdini. So all very separate identities. And
I would say, Jake, if you're trying to decide which one is better for you to use the one that you like better. Don't try to do something the way somebody else does it just because that's the way they do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do things the way Jake does them.
That's good advice for any creative field, to find your own voice and to follow that. Because look at Penn and Teller. Two of my favorites. They made a career out of, first of all, telling how the trick was done, and then upping the ante on it. They do a lot of, for their specials, they've done some big big gags, but it's uniquely theirs.
Well, so what's even more uniquely them?
What's that?
Is that the illusions and the tricks that they reveal, they create.
Exactly.
So they're not revealing anything.
Yeah, they're not exactly stealing somebody else's thunder. They are setting themselves up with their own thunder. So yeah, that's a good observation. That makes a lot of sense. And Carl Witzman says Jake just had to bring up going to the bathroom. And Donna Carlene mocks him with her laughter. And Jake Lindsay, again, I got to go to bed. Much love to you guys. Jake, have a great night.
Wait, got to go to bed?
Yeah, really.
What?
We're still here for another 5 or 6 hours, dude.
The night is still young, brother.
That's right.
What are you going to bed? I didn't think you even slept, Jake. You seem to be putting stuff out at all hours of the day. I get your private messages at 2 a.m.
Well, maybe he's like, who was it? Thomas Edison, that take like 2-hour naps or something, or power naps, and he's up to share the PMs again. So we love you, Jake. Hope you have a good night, my man. Now we haven't touched on the Impossibilists yet, dude. We got to talk about those guys. Tell us about the origin of the Impossibilists, would you?
So the League of Impossibilists are original characters from or inspired by the Tales of the Decoverse. So I created the character Big Daddy Cool for the stage musical Swingin' at the Roxy. And right away, he was, diesel punk. Diesel punk is the mashup of the style and aesthetics of the 1920s through the 40s with science fiction, alternate tech, alt history, and kind of this reverence for the anti-hero. And that's who he was. So when Tommy Hancock approached me about doing Tales from the Flip Side, he had seen the live show, and he said, and you writers are going to hate me with this story. You're going to hate me.
Okay. He
sees the live show, and he says, have you ever thought about publishing a book? And I was like, well, maybe. I had already written Nightrike, but I hadn't pitched it to anyone. Sure. I was like, well, maybe. He goes, well, I'm going to publish it. And 9 months later, Tales from the Flip Side was released. He gave me a book deal without ever seeing a word I'd ever written. Wow. Based on the stage character. Well, so the story that I wrote based off the stage show was very heavy into sci-fi, time travel, and vampire Nazis, and basically Nightrike is the flip side of the other story, and so they're actually two sides of the same story, and so the League of Impossibilists are born in this series. And I call it the Decoverse because if I had had my way, I would not have named Diesel Punk. I would have named it Deco Punk, because unlike steampunk, which is all about steam power, Diesel Punk is not about diesel power. It started that way, but it morphed over the years and became more about visual aesthetics. But that's neither here nor there. So
like Art Deco, right?
Yeah. So it's Deco Punk, and and so I started. So I'm in the middle of writing volume 3 or 4, I forget what it was, and I started doing ghost tours at the same time. And I asked my co-founder of the League of Impossibilists, Madame Dark, to create a staff for me to carry on the ghost tours, a staff with a lamp. And you've seen this, Brian.
Oh yeah. Let me give you the full screen here.
Yeah, this fantastic
That's
staff.
lovely. Yeah.
And so so my ghost tour character of the shaman started carrying this, and I was thinking through, okay, well, how does this jive with what I've already done with Big Daddy Cool? How would Big Daddy Cool get from the red zoot suit to the black, shaman outfit? And that became the basis of volume 4 of the Tales of the Decoverse, Rise of the Impossibilists. And so me and Crystal Raven Jones, her husband Greg Jones, and Blake Wilson, we created original characters based on that universe that I'd created, and they became the League of Impossibilists. And other people joined in, and we had a lot of fun. And we debuted at ShadowCon 2020 and won the costume contest. And then we were like on a roll. And Doug Aller from Aller's Oddities, he was like, he joined us as the villain creator. And he's like, we need a comic book. And I'm like, okay. And so he started drawing it. And he would draw the panels and send them to me to ink. And he had a rough idea of what the story might be. And he put the pages in that order. But he said, you know what? Just use what you can or put them in whatever order. And basically, I take his pages and I ink them. I correct them if they need it. And I reorder them and write a script for what he's already created. And that became the League of Impossibilists comic series. So real life cosplay group inspired by a book series that became a comic book series that and since I knew this was going to happen, and Brian, you probably saw me predicting this quite a bit online. I kept asking the question during the pandemic, how many people in our circle are going to lose interest and move on to other things. And that happened with a lot of the League of Impossibilists members. One guy moved to New York. Another one of the members, got into her own modeling career, internet modeling career, if you know what I'm saying, onlyfans.com. And, so now it's just really the 4 of us again. But I'm okay with that. And we're having a lot of fun. We still go to cons together, like Imaginarium, and my table is a split table, League of Impossibilists on one side, back of the cereal box on the other.
Very cool. And you've been serializing your collaboration with Doug Aller on your Patreon page, right?
That's correct. Yeah, patreon.com/impossibilists. What we've done is we've released the work in progress art, and then we released the first draft of the lettered art, and then now we're getting ready to release the finished product. The colorist is in the last couple of pages. He told me yesterday he had 7 more pages to finish. So we will have a completely professionally lettered, because I got a professional letterer, because I was doing it myself on an app on my phone called Comic Book, which was okay for the Patreon folks, to see what we were working towards. But I hired a professional letterer. I hired a Marvel colorist for the cover, and then a friend of Doug's said, "Hey, I want to color this," and we're doing something really cool with colors. We're keeping it in black and white, but using a single color accent on each page.
Oh, wow. I've seen that done before, and that sometimes can be more of a pop than even coloring the whole page. Oh, that's
Yeah.
genius. That's
And
genius.
so by Superman Celebration,
Mm-hmm.
we will have a completed digital copy available.
Nice.
Through it will be available through Amazon first,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll look at Comixology, Comics Wellspring, all of the whatnot. But it's magazine format because the pages are magazine size.
Mm-hmm.
So like Savage Sword of Conan, or
Right.
what was the Incredible Hulk magazine?
Oh, it was just Hulk, the Hulk.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Yeah,
not
and they
brand.
also had like Vampire Tales, creepy, eerie.
Yeah,
We still have the same thing now with like creeps and all.
yeah, and not brand X.
Not
Do you
brand X.
remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Super
Yep.
stuff. That's cool. Now, is there long range plans for a print version of it?
Yes. Yeah. So that's where we'll look at the print versions or print on demand. I'm not doing a Kickstarter for it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been successful with crowdfunding like that, so
Yeah.
I'm just not going to go that way. And there's really no need. I was able to, pay the artists that are working on it out of my pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and if I recoup the investment, that'll be good.
Yeah.
And I think we will. I do want to
good
do
stuff.
print copies to have at shows and whatnot. So,
Right.
but how we get that done, that's kind of the next phase. And I'm already working on issue number 2. I kind of took a break from that to finish up issue 1 with the letterer and the colorist and giving direction and art direction and whatnot. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And
Now,
Doug has produced enough artwork to do 5 issues.
he's obviously fired up about it.
Yeah, he is. And I eventually had to tell him, Doug, stop. I can't keep up with what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
So,
my God.
Yeah.
Well, that's better than a collaborator who you have to like. It's almost like trying to pull their teeth out with a pair of pliers. It's like at least you got somebody where you have to say, wait for me to catch up with you. But
well,
he's doing some great work, and I know him from Aller's Oddities.
Mm-hmm.
His rather bizarre take on toys and such and
Yeah.
stuffed animals. But to find out and it shouldn't surprise me that he's also a very talented comic artist as well.
Yeah, and he's super enthusiastic about the project. He wants to do action figures and board games and a cartoon series. And I'm like, Doug, yes, but one thing at a time.
Yeah. Wait for me. I'm your leader. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I must have waved my hand in the wrong way because we're missing our guy again. I'm so sorry about that. Oh, and but anyway, we thank everyone while we're waiting for John B. Pyka to come back. Thank you all for your reactions here on Facebook and your reactions on YouTube as well. Please keep leaving them because they help this program out quite a bit. Welcome back, John.
I don't know why I keep getting bumped off, like bumped off Safari completely off my browser. It just shuts down completely. I don't know.
Wow. Huh. Well, we're on the downhill side of this anyway, so we'll just keep you a little longer. And Christian, Jake, Lindsay, if you're still watching, good luck about tomorrow. Remember, stay hydrated and have a snack before you go in. Don't panic, and you're gonna be fine, man. You're gonna be fine.
Listen, Jake, I had the real thing.
Yeah.
And it's the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. So I don't want to do it again. So I went ahead and got the vaccine. Here's the deal. For all of you people who are nervous about the vaccine, every vaccine has side effects.
Mm-hmm.
Every medication we take has side effects. And those people who say, well, I don't want to put a vaccine in my body. You've already got them in your body, you mook. You got vaccinated when you were a baby, a child. Yeah. You had to be vaccinated to go to school.
Right.
Get the blasted vaccine, and just because you don't want to go through what I went through. And any side effect you get from the vaccine, is minuscule compared to what you'll go through without it. So don't be nervous.
Exactly. Yeah, and I had a worse reaction to last year's flu shot than I did this. And that's a good point. Like we're from an era like 1st and 5th grade. I had to get a polio shot. I don't know how it was for you, but I was at the tail end of the polio scare. In fact, I went to school with a young man who had polio and was on crutches and such. So
we still vaccinate for polio. That's still one of the standard vaccines. There's 30 or 40 vaccines that children get through age 3. And now through age 12 they do the HPV vaccine. So you know what? Don't be worried about vaccines. You got vaccines running through your blood already.
Exactly. And if you think it's gonna if it's government trackers, you've already got one. It's called a cell phone.
Hey, the 5G conspiracy is absolutely true, though.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, since I got the vaccine, my phone has been doing 5G reception.
Yeah, there we go. And see, sometimes when those things are on the far side of John's body, that's when we lose the signal, folks. I'm just saying, okay? And speaking of which, tune into the Truth Mongers tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
So can we don't get political on Back of the Cereal Box at all. We don't do politics or social issues. It's just about fun. But can I just say something for a minute?
Bring it.
So I think it's hysterical.
Yeah.
I think it's hysterical that the Republican conservatives, which I am one, by the way, in full disclosure, their president pushed to get a vaccine done.
Right.
And everyone supported fast tracking the vaccine.
Right.
And your president got a vaccine. And yet you people are the ones who refuse to take it.
It's an excellent point.
I'm not quite sure. There's a little disconnect there. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Well, that's the thing about this.
Seems like you would be lining up to
become politicized. Yeah.
Give me the Trump vaccine. Come on.
Oh my God, yeah. I don't care if you give me the Millard Fillmore vaccine as long as it works,
People are stupid.
I hear you. I know. I totally agree with you. But if you have a differing opinion, that's nice. Anyway,
you can send me an email at johnpyka@johnpyka.com.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, definitely. If you send anything to here, I will forward it to John. Let's see if we got any more hate from here. No, we got love. We've got likes. We got all kinds of people liking us. As well they should. And folks, you have been fantastic tonight. But most of all, John, you have been fantastic, my friend. I appreciate your coming on here. Appreciate you skipping your Pilates tonight for this. And you have been absolutely amazing, man. Seriously.
I thought I was gonna reschedule it for tomorrow night, but now I realize, oh wait, I've got my own show tomorrow night.
And that's something I think we need to discuss right this moment. I'm going to give you the spotlight again. Tell everyone, please, how they can keep up with you, and please, please, please promote that network of yours.
Yeah, so Back of the Cereal Box is the podcast and network. There came a day, unlike any other day, when a group of best friends got together and said, wouldn't it be cool if we could get together on Saturday morning in our pajamas with big bowls of cereal and recapture the fun of our youth and talk about cool pop culture stuff that we all love and grew up with? And the answer was yes. And Back of the Cereal Box was born. So there's a healthy dose of nostalgia. There's a healthy dose of, comics and toys and games. It's the only podcast with 8 essential vitamins and minerals, and it's 100% non-toxic. But we have other shows on the quote-unquote network The Ice Cream Queens, which is your midnight snack of horror and gothic flavored pop culture. That's every other Sunday night, the second and fourth Sunday of the week. Tales of the Geek, or Case Files of the Geek Gumshoe, where the Geek Gumshoe investigates urban legends and cryptozoology and debunks them all, kind of like the Truth Mongers, but in a little bit more of an irreverent way. And then Kelly Gettner has Back Issue Breakfast Club every Wednesday morning, where she is going to review a graphic novel or a trade paperback collection and help you discover or rediscover your new favorite comic series. And then on Wednesday nights, I do new comics. Yum! So I just review what I picked up at the comic book shop every week. But tomorrow night, we're doing something different. So every once in a while, we'll do a recap and a debrief of a recent comic book themed show or movie. And so tomorrow night, me and Kelly and hopefully Willow and all of the gang are going to be on to talk about and debrief and review the Disney Plus series Loki. Nice. And talk about that 6-issue series and what we thought, what we think it means for the future of the MCU. And we'll also talk about Black Widow that we've all seen in the theaters or on Disney Plus streaming. So we'll be doing that tomorrow night. And usually New Comics is at 9 p.m., but tomorrow night for this special roundtable, it'll be 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And if you loved Loki, if you hated Loki, we want you to join us and participate. It's on Facebook and YouTube. Just do a search for Back of the Cereal Box. You will not have trouble finding it. And you can, comment and share your opinions. And it's totally interactive. We're getting ready to release Cryptid Crunch August 1st, hosted by Willow Schuyler. And that will be every other Sunday, the first and third Sunday of every month. And Kelly Gettner and Crayley Vance of Phoenix Sister Cosplay, they're going to start a nighttime every Wednesday before New Comics Yum. They'll be doing a cosplay-centered show called either Cosplay Cafe or Cosplay Krispies.
I like it.
There's a poll on our Facebook group to decide on and they're neck and neck right now. So
beautiful. That's a lot of stuff going on, John. I'm very proud of you, man.
Well, look, and can I drop an announcement?
By all means, sure.
You're gonna get a scoop right now, Brian.
I'm ready.
And this doesn't just pertain to Back of the Cereal Box. This could benefit you.
Okay.
So one of our goals early on, and I've not shared this publicly with anyone.
Okay.
Because normally I don't share goals until I feel like it's safe to. You know what that's like.
I do. Indeed, I do.
So our goal is to start our own streaming service, our own streaming app that will be available on Roku and Amazon Fire Stick.
Beautiful.
And we have a lot of programming, and that's why we've been building out programming. But we're going to need more. I'm just saying. And we don't know what we're going to call it. We don't know what we're going to call the app yet. But it looks like we may have some sponsors stepping up to the plate to finance that, because it's not cheap.
Oh, no.
It's a load of money to finance. But you guys watching, you could help us get to that finish line a lot faster at buymeacoffee.com/cerealboxpod. And you can like Patreon, you can do a monthly commitment if you want, but you don't have to. Buy Me a Coffee lets you buy a single bowl of cereal for us. You can do, $5, $10, $20, one-time donation if you want, or you can become a monthly contributor. And your contributions will get us one step closer to that streaming app, that streaming network on Roku and Fire Stick. And the first people I'm going to be looking at to help fill out that programming will be my other friends in the video podcasting space.
Sounds good. We shall talk.
That's the drop right there. That's an exclusive scoop just for you, Brian.
I appreciate it, John. Thank you so much. That is good news. And I am excited for you. I seriously am. I think this is fantastic. And I think it shows that with hard work and knowing what you're doing and filling your head with the right stuff, we can make these things happen.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what Rising Tide's about.
Look, and for anyone out there who is thinking about getting into podcasting, broadcasting, writing books, or doing comics, or even getting up on stage and acting, singing, doing magic, if you think you're going to get rich doing it, you're in the wrong business. However, if you do it the right way, you can make a comfortable living, because even drip, 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 drip will fill the bucket eventually. And and one of my things, Brian, is nobody's going to get rich, but any success I have, I always, always, always want to try to bring my friends along for the ride. I'm like, come on, get on board the train, let's go. And not everyone wants to stay on the train till the end, but those who do will hopefully reap some rewards. So
excellent. If nothing else, I get to hang with some cool people, like Big Daddy Cool himself.
Well, that's good.
I'll make my stand there. I will. Anyway, John B. Pyka, a couple more comments here, and then we'll get you on your way. Carl Wisdom says, "Well, folks, have a good evening." Carl, thank you for being here. And Joe Dog McKeel of Stupid O'Clock and also HalloCon. Go to hallocon.com. Big things coming up there. Good night, guys. I look forward to having dinner with you two on Saturday in late October. I'm looking forward to it also.
Hey, one of the programming things I want to do at HalloCon, Joe, is I want to do Hot Wheels races for charity. So Joe knows what I'm talking about. At MetrothemCon, I brought the Hot Wheels track, and I thought it would be a fun 20-30 minute thing. For 4 hours, people were wanting to race Hot Wheels, and we did it again at Imaginarium, and again, down the stairs. Well, here's what I want to do. For Joe's favorite charity, whatever charity that they're doing, everybody who wants to can sponsor a car of their choice for $2 per race. And but they've got to promise to sponsor it if they go on and win. So we can do this racing tournament of Hot Wheels cars with sponsored cars by guests of Imaginarium, and use it as a fundraiser for your favorite charity, Joe.
And we got our answer right there. Thank you, Joe Dog. Thank you so much. Dan Hollifield said, I was thinking that would be the next logical step to what we all have been doing for the last 2 years. I think so. I think it could reach fruition. That's the kind of thing, having a plan will help everyone, no matter what creative field you're in. And speaking of creative, thank you so much, John B. Pyka, for being here tonight, brother. Appreciate you being here. You were fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
All right. And don't forget, johnpyka.com, and keep up on what this gentleman is doing here. John, please stick around for a minute so I can say goodnight to you properly, and we'll close out the show, okay?
Thanks, guys. Love you, mean it. Catch you on the flip side.
All right. I mean it too. He was fantastic. We're going to mute him there. And thank you. And John can go to the bathroom again. This will be exciting. Anyway, Anyway, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Donna, Carlene. Thank you, everyone who with your great questions, your great comments. We appreciate you all. And now's the time to say some thank yous to some people. And we'll give an extra shot here. Jeffrey Hayes, PlasmaFireGraphics.com, when the look of your book matters to you. PlasmaFireGraphics.com, the same people who did this wonderful book for myself and Ben Books, No Ambition, brand new on Amazon for 99 cents. If you like quick read crime fiction, this is the book for you. Also, if you like other broadcasts, not just Back of the Cereal Box, which is awesome, but also the Rising Tide Broadcast Network, we've got your entertainment and information covered 7 days a week. Tomorrow morning, I will be back with another episode of Never Mind the Furthermore, the interactive creative conversation show where I drink a lot of coffee and talk to you guys and gals. And then tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, Ted Davies and Glenn B. Fleming will come back for the second episode of The Truth Mongers. And tomorrow night, they're going to talk about something I haven't heard about in a long time, namely the Hollow Earth. If you don't know what that's about, then tune in to tomorrow night's show and you will be entertained and edified. We also want to say thank you to our Patreon subscribers. Patreon is a monthly subscription service where you can support your favorite creators directly. And we offer all kinds of cool stuff for your subscription. So check us out at www.patreon.com/Brian K. Morris. And now as we get down to where we need to be to close out this show, we want to thank everyone again. Thank again to John B. Pyka for being here tonight, for spending some time with us. And next week, we will have the incredible Roland Mann on. He is a longtime comic book creator, writer, editor, has worked in independent comics for ages, and he's bringing back his Silver line of comics, and we're going to talk about that and meet some of the people that are helping him put out some really cool stuff. So please tune in 1 week from tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central for another episode of Clever Title Pending, and we hope you all have a great night. We'll hopefully see you tomorrow, and definitely hope to see you Thursday night on Comic Book Spectrum at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And everyone have a great night, folks. As always, stay smart, stay safe, wash your hands, and never apologize for being awesome. Thanks for watching Clever Title Pending. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to Clever Title Pending, a proud member of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We talk to creatives about creativity and the business behind them. So type in your questions and become part of the conversation. And now, here's your host, Brian K. Morris.